Palantir stock is now flirting with $100 a share. After reporting earnings, the stock is up over 18% after hours as of recording this video. And right now I'm looking at the live stock price, $99.64. This stock wants 100 real bad. This is such an awesome feeling for so many Palantir shareholders out there. A lot of you and myself have been holding this stock for many, many years. I was buying when this stock was sub $10. I was buying when this stock was $7, $6.50. That's where I was buying this stock. And I would make videos about the stock, and of course there was a lot of people who were very positive about Palantir, but there was a large crew of people who were saying this is a trash company, it's never going to amount to anything, there's no way they're going to be profitable. Look at the stock now, they're going absolutely nuts. We've got well over a 10x on this stock already, and I can't wait to see what the future holds. They're in a crazy new ramp-up phase of the AI software boom that came right after the AI hardware boom. So many people were predicting this. Myself, I was saying that 2024 and 2025 would be the year of the AI software boom, just like 2023 and the beginning of 2024 was the AI hardware boom. And on these great earnings, the stock, like I said, is flirting with $100 a share. Still looking at the live stock price, $99.87. Very, very close. I would love to see that number after hours today. That would be a really exciting moment for Palantir shareholders. I'm really excited to get into those numbers, but first, real quick, if you're new here, I'm Austin. I'm a co-owner of cloudmusicsuite.com. I'm also a stock market investor, and definitely most importantly for this video, I'm a Palantir shareholder, have been for many years, and I will be for many, many years to go in the future. If you're not subscribed already, become one of those 6,000 or so people who are already subscribed. We'd love to have you on the channel. And if you want to see every buy I make, every sell I make, my watch list, the stocks I'm holding right now, market commentary, etc., go ahead and join us on the Patreon. It'll be the first link in the description and the pinned comment down there. Appreciate you doing that. Let's jump into the video. So Palantir reported their Q4 earnings and their full year earnings today after the bell. Let's start at the very top with the highlights. US revenue grew by 52% year over year and 12% quarter over quarter, all the way to $558 million. US commercial revenue growth was up 64% year over year and 20% quarter over quarter, all the way up to $214 million. US government revenue, this is a crazy number for government revenue, up 45% year over year and 7% quarter over quarter, all the way to $343 million. Total revenue grew by 36% year over year and 14% quarter over quarter, up to $828 million in the quarter. Their rule of 40 score is an absolutely ridiculous 81%. We'll look at a chart in a little bit of that rule of 40 score, but it's totally ridiculous. They have hit 81% on the rule of 40 score. I would challenge you to find a public company out there that has a rule of 40 score anywhere near that. Let me know in the comments if you find any. They closed 129 deals of at least $1 million, 58 deals of at least $5 million, and 32 deals of at least $10 million. Adjusted free cash flow of $517 million, which is an adjusted free cash flow margin of 63%. Adjusted operating income of $373 million, a 45% operating income margin. These are crazy numbers for any company, but it's even more ridiculous when you think about the fact that just a few short years ago, Palantir was unprofitable. They weren't profitable on a net income basis. They weren't profitable on an operating income basis. And now we're seeing an adjusted operating income margin of 45% just a few years later. US commercial remaining deal value grew by 99% year over year and 47% quarter over quarter to a $1.79 billion remaining deal value backlog. They closed a record-setting $803 million of U.S. commercial total contract value, which is up 134% year over year. And look at this, 170% quarter over quarter. Palantir is absolutely taking over as it relates to AI software in US commercial. And a lot of these deals are very long term. So this is not like they're just going to benefit from this one time. And we really see that positive flywheel effect happening. We get one big company on Palantir's platform. They tell other executives, I've been talking about this for years, this positive flywheel is really starting to take hold. And it shows itself in these amazing US commercial growth numbers that we're seeing. And then the last Q4 highlight is that they had adjusted EPS of 14 cents a share. That's a very respectable number. The reason they're doing adjusted EPS is because of their SARs. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but it was a one-time expense, so they're reporting the adjusted number as the headline number. Now, all the following numbers are for full year 2024. US revenue grew 38% year over year. US commercial revenue grew by 54% year over year. US government revenue grew by 30% year over year. Total revenue grew by 29% year over year. but 32% when you exclude strategic commercial contracts. They had a Rule of 40 score for the full year of 68%. Customer count increased by 43%, all the way to 711 customers. Adjusted free cash flow of $1.25 billion, which is a 44% margin for the full year. Adjusted operating income of $1.13 billion. Good God. 39% margin, and that margin is up 11% year over year. Adjusted EPS for the full year of 41 cents, and it's still that ridiculously amazing bulletproof balance sheet. $5.2 billion in cash equivalents, and short-term U.S. Treasury securities with no debt on the books as always. And I just want to talk real quick that the GAAP EPS numbers, if you come across those, the GAAP EPS numbers look a little rough for Q4. And that's because in Q4, they said they celebrate their successful delivery of their market vesting SAR, stock appreciation rights. So the stock price got to a certain level, and as a result of that achievement, $131 million one-time expense was realized in Q4, and that's going to hurt those GAAP numbers in a major way. It's nothing to worry about at all. It's actually a very good thing because this only happened because the stock price got to a certain point. So just like we talked about, those GAAP numbers might look a little rough. So the GAAP net income was the lowest it's been in 4 quarters, down to $79 million. But when you take out that one-time expense, it's all the way up to $164 million. Also, GAAP operating margin was hurt for the same reason. They had a 1% GAAP operating margin, but when you take out that SAR-related expense, it was actually a 17% operating margin. And we talked about this Rule of 40 score earlier, but check it out. From Q1 of 2023 until Q4 of 2024, they went from 42 down to 38, and then crazy parabolic rise, 46, 54, 57, 64, 68, ridiculously crazy record high of an 81% on their Rule of 40 score. And just to show you how ridiculous this is, just on this chart alone, 42, 46, 54, 57, 64, 68, 81. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times that they've beat the Rule of 40 score. The big dog Amazon that we all know and love, that was absolutely a life-changing stock and a game-changing company for literally the world economy. They've only beat the Rule of 40 5 times in their history. Palantir's already done it 7 times, and 6 of them were back to back to back to back. This is an extremely special company, and that should not be overlooked. We already saw the U.S. growth is crazy, but it's nice to look at it on the graph form. U.S. revenue grew by 52% year over year. U.S. commercial grew by 64% year over year. And then U.S. government revenue grew by 45% year over year. All those are absolutely amazing numbers. They are doing it in the best type of way, in the biggest market possible in the United States. Amazing to see. Total commercial revenue growth was 31% and total government revenue growth was 40%. That's amazing. And all that leads to total revenue growth of 36% year over year in the quarter, and that would be 39% if they excluded those strategic commercial contracts. Adjusted operating margin grew quarter over quarter from Q3 of 2024 to Q4 of 2024, grew from 38%, which was already amazing, all the way up to 45% within a 1 quarter span. We already know their balance sheet is bulletproof, but once again, cash equivalents, and short-term investments in the form of U.S. Treasuries have increased by a wide margin once again, all the way up to $5.2 billion of cash ready to go at any moment to deploy, to invest, to handle a market downturn, etc. Now here's the really exciting part, the forward-looking things. This is the guidance for Q1 of 2025. Every single number you're seeing is a beat, by the way, considerably higher than consensus analyst expectations. For the first quarter of 2025, revenue between $858 million and $862 million. Adjusted income from operations of $354 to $358 million. For the full year 2025, revenue is expected to be between $3.741 billion and $3.757 billion. And we know both these revenue numbers for Q1 and for full year 2025, Palantir has a history of coming in and crushing analyst expectations and their own guidance that they put out. So really, we're probably going to see either the upper end of these ranges for guidance or past the upper end of these ranges for guidance. That is what I expect from Palantir. That's what I've come to expect over the last many years being a shareholder. For full year 25, they also expect U.S. commercial revenue growth above $1 billion, representing a growth rate, listen to this, of at least 54% for full year 2025. That's ridiculous. Adjusted income from operations between $1.55 billion and $1.567 billion. Adjusted free cash flow between $1.5 billion and $1.7 billion. And of course, GAAP operating income and net income for each quarter of this year. I think after this year, they're not going to have to say that anymore because it's going to be a given that Palantir is a profit beast. They're a margin beast. They're a net margin beast. They're an operating margin beast. They're a free cash flow margin beast. This company is special. And it's not just a revenue growth story. When it was just a revenue growth story, it was getting a lot of hype around the stock, but it wasn't flirting with $100. When it's got this revenue growth that's absolutely going crazy and crushing analyst expectations, and they're saying 54% revenue growth on US commercial for full year 2025, and they've got this 45% margin on adjusted operating income. That's ridiculous. And those margins are expected to expand over 2025. They've got the best of both worlds, and Palantir is doing it at the highest level in the most important market, biggest market in the world, the United States of America. An amazing Q4, an amazing 2024, and crazy guidance for Q1 25 and full year 25. Couldn't have been better. Triple beat from Palantir. We wouldn't expect anything less. But I want to address the elephant in the room. So Palantir, I'm looking at it now, is up 22% after hours, all the way up to $102. I don't know where the stock will shake out by the end of the day, but we have reached over $100. Is it time to cash your shares and get out of Palantir? Is a big crash coming? Something like that. I personally am going to be holding the stock for a very long time, but a strategy that you can employ if you feel like the stock has run way too much is you could just take your principal out. A lot of people are up 10x in their position, 5x in their position, etc. If you just want to take your principal out and you just let the gains run, so let's say you put $100,000 into Palantir stock, now it's over $1 million. You can take $100,000 out of Palantir stock and you'll still have that $900,000 in Palantir stock that's just going to keep on running for however long. And it's going to be a lot easier to stomach the potential downturns. If the stock goes from $100 down to $70, that could feel really painful. It'll feel a lot less painful if you take your principal out. Every single dollar you invested with Palantir, if you pull it out and you just keep all the gains riding, it can feel really good and take a lot of that psychological weight off that position, and you can just enjoy it and let it ride for years and years and years and just let the gains roll in. If you're feeling like you want to sell, maybe consider that route instead of just exiting your entire position and taking that crazy massive capital gain that you probably have on Palantir shares. Obviously, it's your decision to do with what you want, but I've used that strategy with many stocks over the years, including Tesla, including Shopify, including Amazon, and it's worked out really well for us, and it makes those positions stress-free, completely stress-free. So if you haven't thought about that strategy before, consider employing that instead of just dumping your entire position and having that massive tax bill at the end of the year. I'm super excited to see where Palantir is able to take this over 2025, 2026, 2027. It seems like they're just now getting started in the US commercial growth, and it's just going to accelerate and accelerate and accelerate. To see over 50% revenue growth on the US commercial side guided for, that is crazy. That means they're unbelievably confident. The odds that they come in below 54%, what they guided, are extremely low. The odds that they come in above that, I would say, are extremely high based on what I've learned as a Palantir shareholder over the last many years. The positive flywheel has taken effect with Palantir. I love to see it. Everything we talked about with Palantir has come true, and honestly, it's gone way better than I ever thought it would with Palantir in a way shorter amount of time than I thought it would. Congrats to any fellow Palantir shareholders out there. Let me know what you're doing with Palantir stock. Are you going to continue to hold for the long term? Are you going to take your principal investment out and just let the gains ride? Are you going to sell completely? Let me know what your specific plan is with Palantir stock. I want to hear about it in the comments below. Thank you so much for being here. Have an amazing day.